Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Shot of Time. I'm your host, Steve Barnes. Today we're doing Time Bandits Episode 4 recap of Prohibition, and it's me and James, the Marshland Monster today, so let's bring the guy in. Ahoy there, James. How are you?
Ahoy there, Steve. You're coming in a little pixelated right now. Am I fine? Are you good on my end?
We're good. We're so good. I mean, no pixels.
Okay,
bright and
all
clear.
right.
I can see every COVID germ on your body right now.
Oh, there's 0 on me now. I tested negative, you fool.
That's right, but you did come down with it while you were out there in Vegas, James. I'm dropping the lead here because this is the most exciting thing that I want to talk about besides Time Bandits is you went to Vegas, James. You did Vegas.
Yeah, and I, for once, put on enough suntan lotion. I got a tan, and then I came back not able to show it. Like, it's probably gone now. It's all gone because I had to be in a room for 6 days.
Yeah, you've been there quarantining, but before we get to that quarantine stuff, though, yeah, you Vegas. What? I've never been. The only thing that really interests me is the new thing, the Sphere now. So, what was like one of the coolest things that you got to do while you were there?
Oh, man. We went to Fremont Street. That's where I would suggest you go, Steve. You would not like the Strip because guess what? Nicole and I not like the Strip. It's beautiful and like a wonderment that it's there, but it is not our speed and it would not be your speed. Fremont Street, great. But then there's this place called Canister Park, I believe it's called. That place ruled. It's a little shopping district that's all circled around this big play area for kids, but all the stores are made out of shipping containers.
Oh, neat. Okay, yeah. I've seen people make houses out of that before, but like a whole like shopping area, and it's not dingy and run down. It's
No,
like nice.
It's beautiful. I think they said it's like 12, 15 years old, something around there. There's this big praying mantis that shoots out fire to the beat every like 15 minutes at nighttime.
Okay. So you told me personally about Fremont, but what can you tell the audience? What exactly is Fremont that you were saying that I would like that area?
So the Strip is the Strip, and Fremont Street's like, it's that big, like 3-block radius street that has the canopy of LED lights over it. It has that big, the guy, you know, the cowboy guy. It's a neon sign, and he's big, and he says, "Howdy, partner." He says stuff like that.
It has the
that's
big
where
hat.
that's from.
Yes. Okay. All right.
And like the golden nuggets there. Like when you think of 70s Hollywood, you're usually probably going to be thinking of Fremont Street and stuff in quotes downtown Vegas, because when we went there, we were like, well, this is what we're talking about.
Right on. So, okay, let's get to the worst then. What was like the biggest piece of crap you saw, or what was like the biggest weird situation you were in there? I'm sure there had to be something.
Okay, so on our way back, we went to a ghost tour. The ghost tour is another story. Nicole will tell the story so much better when we talk about it on Mostly Speaking Sentai.
Okay, we'll save it for that then. Okay.
On our way back, we had to just take one bus the entire way down. And normally it takes like 40 minutes, but this took like an hour plus because there was construction on the Strip for just maybe 2 blocks, but it made that 2 blocks take 20 minutes. But
of course.
We were waiting, and the buses on there are 2-tiered. They're double-decker, the public transit buses. Okay. They're wild. Yeah. So, and they have Wi-Fi, huh? I can be watching in the back? Well, going public transit style? Come on, why not? Actually, shoot, should I bleep that out? I forgot. This is a
you need to bleep it out, but you know we're watching old episodes of Courage the Cowardly Dog on our phones. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. What? I said what I was going to be watching, didn't I?
You did, but I'm trying to make it cleaner. Anyway, please proceed. On the buses.
So it was jam-packed. It was people like going down, but I was like, I know by the time we get to like this area of the Strip, a bunch of people will get off because eventually it's like, well, that's where they're going for the night.
Of course.
So before that, I'm watching to see like a group of 2 people come down the stairs because Nicole and I are like standing. And immediately once I see 2 people coming down the stairs, I like nudge Nicole. I say, Nicole, I'm going up. There'll be free seats. So Nicole's following behind me, but a guy gets in behind me. So like in between Nicole and I go up the stairs, and literally as soon as I sit down like into the insides or the window seat, he shoves in as well. And I'm like, and he's like, oh yeah, glad we found these seats. I was like, sir, you did not know any of the social cues that I was giving the person near me, but
you thought you were talking to him. His name is Nick or something.
No,
and he's like,
I just cool. I'm like, hey, I'm going up. Like, I wasn't even pointing at him. He was on the other side of me. So eventually people start leaving as I thought they would. And finally there's a seat next to Nicole. I go there and she's like, so you couldn't save me a seat? And I was like, Nicole, I didn't even have a chance to look over. He was just there immediately. And she starts laughing so hard. And she's like, that's what I thought happened. But I'm glad you just were like, oh, I don't need to save this seat for her. Of course I wanted her there.
That's what I was thinking too. Like, I would think like your gut reaction would be like, hey, buddy, up, out of here.
No.
Yeah, when you're in the moment like that and like there's freezing that happens to me too. Did y'all take these types of like double-decker buses every time y'all rode around from place to place?
Only a few times, which I told Nicole whenever we go to a major city, which we probably won't anymore, we realized major cities, we live in one. We get to enjoy the greatest major city in the world, Chicago, baby.
Yeah, that's right, the Bean.
Yeah, the Bean.
The Bean Town.
We like going to small cities, even though we're from one and we hate that one. Other ones are cozy. Muskegon's great to visit if you didn't live there most of your life. But yeah, it's fun. We were thinking about going to maybe Port Huron. I posited that to Nicole. It's in Michigan.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, y'all are like right there by the 5 Great Lakes. So you have like 5 lakes to choose from, I suppose. Yeah. And I guess it makes sense to choose something between where you're at in Michigan. But you just came from a vacation, do you have like vacation fever where you're like, now you're planning the next one now that you've gone to one vacation?
Yeah, we like to go maybe once a year.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we used to, but we kind of stopped doing it. What did we do this year? We did a trip this year. We went with Charlotte and her boyfriend and a couple of other friends of theirs. We all got a place together in a lake town in North Carolina. It was pretty great. It was no Vegas, and we did not go anywhere. We barely even went out for groceries. We pretty much stayed at our place, on our dock, on the water.
That's
the
fine.
whole time, which I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm missing out on a lot of things. Like, you remember I came to Chicago and I just went to your house and you took me to a couple of places, but I didn't even try to venture around and see what's happening in that tootling town. I have tunnel vision. I'm like, let me just go where I'm going to hang out and stay there.
Nicole and I like a main street in a small town. It's always cozy. It always reminds you of in movies like Haddonfield in Halloween. That has a very nice downtown area, but where it's just like a nice little cozy thing. Brookfield, Illinois has a downtown that looks like, oh, this is perfect downtown area. It's beautiful. But I think that's what we like. We really liked Kenosha when we went. We went like at a bad time. It was in the middle of the week, so a lot of stores were closed. It was during that time when that F-boy was holding trial. So there was like, what's going on?
Okay.
So right. There was a lot of tension going around with that. You could like feel it in the air of people like, is this going to break bad? I mean, it did, but it also didn't for the city. But I like a small town, but I don't think I could live in one unless I was like, hey, Nicole, you make money off from art. I make money off from this bullshit. We don't need like a local job. Let's just like hang out in a small town like Stars Hollow with James Don't Swear. But I get excited for Gilmore Girls.
What about Bingley, England? That's a nice little small town that's featured in our show here.
Is it, though? It looks pretty big.
We get a good view of it in episode 8 coming up. I've already seen this.
Stop going. Watch episode 4 and don't go after that, Steven.
All right. I've already seen all these episodes twice. I kind of had to get my homework done. I respect you for not jumping ahead. But yeah, I mean, they do show a little bit more of their town that we'll see later. And it is kind of a small town. Here in Richmond, we have Small Town Street, Carytown. You would enjoy Carytown if you came to Richmond. Sounds exactly what you're talking about with like Fremont. And, in Chicago, I won't blow up your spot, but you're within walking distance of a very nice area that has nice storefronts and shops. And I think Bingley has the exact same thing within walking distance of Kevin's home. So that's going to make me draw us back into Time Bandits world. I got ready to say Wheel of Time world. We're in Time Bandits world for sure here. Something exciting that happened to me just tonight. Oh, wait, your face. You're excited. What's up?
I was going to say, let's make a fan fiction Wheel of Time Bandits, and the Time Bandits go to, what's the world of Wheel of Time called?
There's a whole bunch of them. I don't know. There's the city of Camelin. There's Tar-Valon.
Well, okay, like we live on Earth.
It's not really stated.
They don't give a state for like Middle Earth, Middle Earth is like the world in which we live. When you listen to NADPOD, it's Bohemia. What's the world of Wheel of Time?
The world, Randland. There is seriously
all right,
no
we're calling it
world
Randland
for the
from
Earth.
now on.
Yeah, Randland. That's what it's going to have to be. What was your point, though? What were you saying?
We should make a fan fiction of Wheel of Time Bandits, where the Time Bandits go to the world of Wheel of Time, and they're like, whoa, what can we steal here? And they accidentally steal the dragon.
Or they steal the sword that cannot be stolen, which this Time Bandits would be right on cue for that. And plus they have the same method of traveling around the time portals. Everybody in both worlds are used to those, so they could fit right in.
They steal the hearts of all the Aes Sedai.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say before you got excited with your fanfic idea. Hang on to that so we can maybe do that next week. But for this week, I was looking up some research for this episode to see how it was reviewed. This is actually like the worst reviewed episode of the series. Most of the other episodes got like at least a 7 or higher, and this one got like an average score of 6.7. And a lot of people said they didn't like it because of Kevin's voiceover, the use of the voiceover this episode. This is the only episode that they do that for, and I guess there was probably, directorial or editorial reasons they did that, but people didn't like it. I like voiceovers. I'm kind of a sucker for voiceovers myself. What do you think about voiceovers?
I can understand where people are coming from because it did make it feel more like a kid show happening. However, they're doing this because it makes it seem like a heist or a gangster movie. There's a lot of voiceovers in those kind of things. Like the Community episode where they're stealing all the chicken. It's set up through voiceover. Abed's doing it the entire time. So
sure.
I think that's why they were doing it. But because it's a kid, it makes it feel like a kid show opposed to this kid doing a parody of gangster movies.
Okay, I didn't even think about that aspect of it. I guess it could be. Because, yeah, it did kind of play like a gangster movie in a way. We had like, our 3 acts. It could have been like a Goodfellas Jr. in a way.
Yeah.
They were doing some illicit stuff here.
A gangster movie where none of the gangsters know they're gangsters.
That is one thing I noticed about this episode, because when we're traveling throughout history, of course, you're going to come upon like unsavory characters, and they're going to, have backwards ways of thinking. And here we're like in 1929 New York, and everybody's really friendly. The gangs get along with each other. Spoiler alert, I'm getting into the episode already. But they make it pretty well known that these guys are all murderers. And I think that's kind of funny the way they juxtapose that with like how much Kevin likes them and how much they like him. And, they make allude references to like how many bodies they've dropped at such and such place. And I don't know. I kind of like that juxtaposition there.
I just them constantly being like, wait, the little kids in the gang? Oh, no, that's Babyface. The small British kid who instead of saying hello said greetings.
Okay, yeah, this is the first episode that Kevin is officially in the gang. Because somebody asks Penelope and she says, yeah, he's in the gang. So now we know that he's in there. Before I get too far ahead of myself, though, let's recap where we are at this point, because we have just left medieval England. The last episode we had with Anthony LaDon we had left that town of England with all these the dragons or the pterodactyls wreaking havoc. So not great. So those time portals are left open, and more than likely these time continuity problems are being caused by the Time Bandits. We last saw Fianna, who's like the big rock demon, and Saffron back in ancient Troy. They're both following behind the gang. The Time Bandits, of course, that's their goal right now, is to get Kevin home. That's their main objective, and that continues in this episode. And instead of being in Bingley 2024, they end up in England 700 amongst a bunch of monks and books and mead, we find out. And at this episode, we find out that, or last episode, we found out the Supreme Being had a secret plan. This episode, we learn about it. So I guess the first thing here is we're seeing the Time Bandits using the time portals pretty wisely in this episode. They're like using them to take the mead from 700 to New York, 1929, where there's a prohibition going on. So they're using the time portals, and for, this is probably the smartest use of the time portals we've seen them use so far.
And them finally being bandits about it.
Yeah, that's right. They're finally living up to their name for the first time. So that leads my first question to you, because I asked Sarah Darkin last episode what she would do with time portals if she had them. And she had two answers for me, two very different answers. One was she would go back to where they had more classic, she's really into clothes and dresses. So she would go back and get some vintage clothing, bring it back here and have it not just to wear, but to sell. And then, of course, the good old standard, going back in time and killing Hitler. So that's what Sarah wants to do with time portals. I said that I wanted to go back to even earlier than New York, 1929. I want to go back to 1800 New York and be like one of the first people to establish themselves in New York. And that's what I said I wanted to do. So, James, you get a time portal now. What do you want to do with your time portal? Where do you see as the ultimate heist or ultimate thing?
Well, the first thing I'd do, I'd go back in time to when Franklin, our first cat, was born. I'd scoop that little guy up and just run away, bring him back here. I'd say, we have this kitten now. And then when he eventually passes away, to 18 years from then, I'll do it again.
That's perfect, actually. I mean, some people do that with breeding, and they pretend like that they keep breeding pets, and then the new one becomes the old version, the new version of the old one.
That's
weird. What I'm saying? So they'll have a Franklin version 18 or whatever.
No.
But that would work well, and you could keep doing that until your demise, I suppose.
Yep. And then I'd find some gold right now. Then I'd go way back in time, use that gold to buy government bonds, and then just stash them somewhere, then pull them out when I'm in current time and say, gimme money, please.
Okay. I mean, I didn't really question Sarah on the details of her plans for killing Hitler. I just went with it. I was getting ready to ask you how you plan on obtaining these gold and bonds, but I'm not going to delve any deeper than I did with Sarah. So I'm just going to say it's a good idea.
No, today I get gold. I have gold in my hand.
Okay. Your hand looks empty to me, but okay.
I use the portal. I'm still holding on to the gold. I go back in time. Gold can be transferred into money. I take that money, or just the gold. The government will take it back then. I just buy those government bonds from the 1783.
Yes.
And then I think I need to wait a little. I need to make sure the United States we know as now is the United States, because there was the articles of something. There was a separate thing. Post-Constitution, so 1800, whatever. I buy some, and then I stash those away. Or I guess I don't want to keep them with me, because then they won't look weathered. It won't look like they're old. It'll just be like, you made these. What are you talking about? So I will take those, stash them somewhere that I know is untouched right now, and then I retrieve them, then I cash those in for a shoot ton of money.
Okay. Bank deposit boxes, I guess, would be a good way to that. You could do the dark way, where Claudia just simply buried stuff in her backyard and then gave the younger version of herself the map to the stuff that she buried in her backyard. So that might be a way you could do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just find a place in the woods that I'm like, okay, this I know is still the woods in current day, and then dig it out, baby.
Step one, get that gold, James. That's what I want to see you get step one done right now. Get some gold in your hand.
I mean, I would just like take out some money of my bank account, exchange that for gold.
It's almost the same plan I have, which is to go back into New York and just be singular minded of buying real estate and areas of New York that I know are going to be prosperous. And so, be a real estate person. That would be, I think, an obtainable goal if you went back in New York knowing what you know now. I think I would need some of your gold, though. I might need to borrow some of that gold before I go back to New York so I could buy myself a nice plot of land that way. No?
Well, you know what? Go to San Francisco in 47, beat the gold rush, and then you're good.
That's right. Okay. All right. Well, here we go. So we might have problems with our time portals, though, because our Time Bandits had some problems with their portals this episode. We see some portal glitches, which I think might be the fault of the Time Bandits. And something I noticed, too, is like when Widget would get upset and like yell at the portal would kind of react to that. It would kind of sweep and fade away. Very similar to back in episode 2 when like Widget had to like calm himself in order to open that portal up. So I think they're kind of in a way like emotion based in a way.
Okay.
So they arrive in New York. The portal's already glitching. Penelope says, just throw a blanket over it. It'll be fine. And before I get into New York, I'm going to back up a little bit because there's only like 2 scenes that are outside of our New York scenes. I'm going to go ahead and get those out of the way right now. We've got Saffron. She's out there running wild, and she's got Fiona after her. So we see Saffron, she teams up with this individual named Tomo Gozen. She's played by Tomoka Tsuyuki in this episode. And they're in Japan 1200. And you might be confused because you're like, I don't remember them actually being in this particular time because they were not. I think that a scene might have been cut where this character had some interactions with Kevin and the gang earlier because you see that she reacts to Kevin's picture as well. So that's just kind of my speculation is that we missed a scene with the gang, but obviously Saffron is on the right path.
I assumed that she branched out elsewhere.
Okay.
Because she doesn't really react to the photo. She just says, hey, is that man, did he wrong you? And then she thinks he said yes. So then she's like, all right, he's dead. Gadished.
Okay, that could be so. Yeah, because last time we saw them, they were in Troy. Now they're here. But Fiona's after them as well, because Fiona eventually catches up with Saffron, gives her a big sniff, and it's clear that she's not looking for Saffron. She just kind of tosses Saffron aside. She's looking for Kevin. She, being Fiona, is looking for Kevin.
Which my guess is they probably still smell similar. So she's been thinking, oh, that's the person I'm supposed to find. Oh, wait, no, also I thought I was looking for a boy. Which one of the greatest lines, Fiona says, you're not him, and then throws Saffron down, and Saffron says, you don't know me pronouns.
I know, that's a great joke for that. Yeah, I love that. Don't assume her gender. That's the only scene we get with them too. Well, there's a couple of scenes, but that's basically the gist of what's happening is Saffron's trying to catch up. And then we also check in with the Supreme Being. This is, I think, well, first off, I'll say that he has this plan for the Great Reset. He has Earth 2, but he needs the map in order to do so. Doesn't sound like his plan is, it sounds like Kevin wouldn't like his plan because he's talking about erasing all of history and erasing all the bad stuff that he's done and just getting rid of everything. And doesn't sound very altruistic to me either, but I know Kevin would hate that plan.
Yeah, my guess is pure evil is going to end up being in the right, where he's like, all I wanted to do was like some messery, not the word that is a curse word, an effery. He wants to just do some messery around town. That's it.
Right.
He wants to go down to Fremont Street and say, "What is up?" And then all of a sudden the sloppy boys are playing.
What is up, Tim Kalpakis? I mean, I think that makes sense because we don't hear the evil talking about wanting to destroy the world. He just wants to make spiky things, and he wants to make things scary and evil, but not destroy it.
He just wants to make Hot Topic cool again.
Don't we all?
He just wants to make a bunch of spiky
cool
things.
Yeah, exactly. So we find out that, you know how evil cannot say the supreme being's name, vice versa. Supreme being cannot say evil's name. We also know that evil has two dudes with very similar names. He's got Demon and Damon, whereas the supreme being has two guys named Jasper and Jasper that are working for him. So there's a lot of, parallels between these two guys. He sends some detectives to help him go find the map. So we meet two detectives this episode, Detective Catherine, played by Francisca Mills, and Sergeant Lewis, played by Aman Hadshidi, who's still hasn't... I've been communicating with Aman, so if you're listening, Aman, please come on the podcast. I keep asking him, and he keeps saying maybe. At any rate, these two are on the side of the Supreme Being looking for this map. I figure this Detective Catherine, I wrote down here that she is probably James's arch enemy, because you notice that she just sticks her fingers in the coal dust and then licks her finger afterwards.
No, they have to do that for their job. I'm fine with it.
Lick dead people ash off their fingers?
It's coal. They're not dead people ash. They were just turned into coal. It's not like they were burnt to a coal. No, they were just turned into coal.
So it was me that was more outraged that she's my arch enemy then, not yours.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't like that move, and I figured you would hate it if I didn't like it. All right. Well, the TV was playing in the background. I did not recognize the show that was playing in the background. I know it had to have some sort of significance. Did you recognize it by any chance?
I know it just looked like a detective show, maybe from the UK.
I'm thinking it probably has something to do with Taika. It must. But sure, yeah. Did you have anything else about Fiona or our two new detectives or the Supreme Being before we get back to our regular gang?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. Hope those detectives find out some stuff. Oh, yeah. And it seems, speaking of gender, that's something else that Detective Catherine keeps doing is keeps referring to Fiona as she, because it seems like she knows that Fiona is the one. I'm not sure how she knows that, but she is aware of it being Fiona, whereas the other dude, Sergeant Lewis, is not. So I guess Catherine is probably... I can't tell who's in charge, really, because it seems like Catherine's in charge, but it seems like Sergeant Lewis is above her because he's kind of the one telling her what to do. So I don't know. Did you get a sense of who's in charge there?
I thought they were partners.
I guess they could be, but there's always a hierarchy. Always a hierarchy. Pecking order. Sweet Child of Time is brought to you by Zencastr. Zencastr helps us make Sweet Child of Time. When I schedule an episode, I send the link out to my co-hosts and whoever the guest may be. We all get in a room together, an online room, of course. We all record locally on our microphones, and when we're done, we all have individual files we can download for easy editing. You can either record video or audio. If you'd like to choose Zencastr, go to zencastr.com/pricing. Use the promo code Sweet Child of Time for 30% off any paid Zencastr plan. If you want to have the same easy experience I've had with podcasting, choose Zencastr. It's time to share your story. But yeah, our gang comes from 700 England, our main gang, the Time Bandits, and they end up in this warehouse in 1929 New York. Kind of the right place, right time for them, because they get the opportunity to get involved with an illegal bootleg mead operation. The other gang was supposed to be meeting up with this gang, but because this fellow, his name is Larry Always Late, I believe it's Larry Always Late's fault that the other gang did not show up in time. And that's how the Time Bandits were able to scoop in and pick up this customer and be able to start supplying the mead, because Larry Always Late made the other guys late. At any rate, they're here in this warehouse, they're making a deal. and we meet Bumpy Johnson, who's like our gang leader here. He's like the very outspoken, kind of more flamboyant fellow who does most of our talking. He's played by a dude named Country Wayne Colley. Are you familiar with him? I'm not. Are you?
No.
Yeah. He's a TikTok celebrity. This is like his first like acting thing.
Heck yeah.
And he's big on TikTok. And his TikTok kind of confuses me. Like, it's like he has a serialized drama that he's playing out, except it kind of seems like it's real life, but it's clearly scripted, very religious based. And I kind of can't figure out what the point of it is because it doesn't follow a cohesive storyline. And like every clip doesn't really wrap up like with a hook. It's just kind of like a continuation of some soap opera that I have no idea what's happening, but it seems very convincing. And it also seems like they're not having fun. That's why I was really confused by this. Because this guy is like really like high energy, very funny, but he doesn't play that on his TikTok.
Steve, your boomer is showing.
I guess so. Like, I tried to check this guy out to see what he was into, and I was like, I guess I was like my mom. I was like, I don't get this. I don't understand. So it was kind of a boomer move, I suppose. Yeah.
I get that feeling, or I get a feeling that other people think that way when they listen to my rap music, and they're like, man, yeah, he does podcasts. I got to check that out. And then it's just like, oh, yes, guys. Like I said, my name is James. And coffee, you better get your wrecked because I'm not putting cold water in a coffee maker. That's just going to take longer. I need the caffeine in me. And they're like, what is this person's what?
It's exactly how I felt about Country Wayne. So there we go. Country Wayne is equal to Marshland Monster.
No.
But sure, yeah, Biddleg is the one who brought along the mead because he liked the way it tasted. So luckily enough, he had the mead to show them. And I believe it's him and Judy who are doing the back and forth, going to get the mead from 700 and bringing it back over. So this is all taking place right before the Wall Street crash of 1929.
Oh.
Which is why everything is so decadent. Mm-hmm. There's lots of money flowing around. Everybody's having a ball. This is like right at the height of that. So in September of this year, 1929 is when that's going to happen. And it's going to be a much different scene. But for right now, we're at the peak and we're also in Harlem. This is during the Harlem Renaissance. And what is happening at this time is a lot of former slaves in the South, and not just slaves, but just Black individuals in the South. They're not free, of course, but there's more lenient laws that allow for traveling. And it's like the epicenter of all Black culture was happening in Harlem at the time. It's like right now, if you want to be an actor, the generic thing is to go to Hollywood and be an actor. If you were in the South and you were Black at the time, it's like your dream was to go to Harlem and be a writer, be a musician, be an artist, because that's where all that stuff was happening. And it really was. It was a huge culture up there. So a lot of people made their way up to Harlem at that time, leaving a lot of footprints in the South along the way. So yeah, that's what we're in the middle of right now. There's a lot of culture, a lot of money around. So there's a lot of people that are supplying those people with money. They're like, here, I have art, I have books, I have music. Let's get in this. So that's what's happening right now, which is a great time for them to show up.
You want to know what? Instead of going back and getting Franklin all the time, I'd go back with a bunch of gold and bail out Wall Street at the crash, okay? That's what I'll do. So the Great Depression in the United States never happened.
Oh, they'll call it like the Great Resurgence of James. Yeah, I like this idea. How will that change the future? One can only guess. I mean, the footprints along the way from that path, James. Mm-hmm. You could buy yourself one of those mansions and not mansions, one of those skyscrapers in New York, and that you'll definitely have like a Marshland Media Center at that time. A golden escalator.
All I want in return is $1,000 a year from all those companies since the 30s put in a bank account for me. But every year it goes up 1%. So eventually, I'm making some bank.
You're making all the bank. Please spread it around. Get lots of employees. Make sure to spread that wealth around, James. Don't hoard it. Don't hoard your wealth, please. You're a hoarder. Oh my God.
No,
All
I'd
right.
I'd be the roller coaster tycoon dude, because after he made millions on that game, he just went around to amusement parks. Like, he just retired and he was like, this is my life now.
Is that a true story?
Yeah, that's a true story. Unless someone told me this
neat.
and it's wrong, I will check while you go on to the next note.
Okay. Well, sure. Like the next note, we're talking about money and riches here. The Time Bandits have no concept of money. There's a couple of inconsistencies here because previously, we heard Widget talking about resale values of things, and they're well aware of the concept of money. So they kind of had to play it down this episode, which I think is a little bit of a plot switcheroo. Also, if you look at the money that they have in that bag, that is all like current currency. It looks like money that you and I would have today. It's not period specific to 1929, which is just what do you call that? An on-set goof up. Not a big deal, but it's there. It should be addressed.
Mm-hmm. So in a Wired article, a few years after him departing he had to depart. He left the gaming industry for a while. This is Chris Sawyer. He was stated asking about like, hey, what have you been doing these past years? And he's just said, I made a few trips to ride roller coasters around the world.
I mean, that's great. Obviously, this dude is into it. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think if I could ride any roller coaster in the world, there's one that I've seen in Norway. That's like one of those like mountain roller coasters that goes down a mountain and you get on kind of this bobsled. It's like a wooden track. It's not like a roller coaster like with the pulleys and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like a very much like it could be like removed from time. It's like all wooden and whatnot. But it has all this beautiful scenery as you're going down this thing, and it goes very slow, doesn't go fast. So that would be my ideal roller coaster. Are you a roller coaster guy?
I used to, but I'm just afraid of them now. I'm afraid they'll break down and I'll die.
That's me now, too. I used to love roller coasters in general, and I can't do it anymore. I blacked out during one ride where we went down a hill. Blacked out. I grayed out. And like when I came to, I was completely disoriented. And ever since then, I kind of had anxiety about roller coasters. I haven't really been on them since then.
You want to know what? If I grayed out during a roller coaster, I might be like, I'm chasing that high now.
It wasn't fun.
Okay. Also, like, this dude really loves roller coasters. In an interview in 2024, his coaster count so far is at 770 roller coasters ridden.
Oh, so he's not just riding a few. He's going for them all.
This dude loves roller coasters, as made clear by the name of his game series.
The Tycoon of Coasters.
Uh-huh. I have some notes before all what we're talking about. I really liked how it began in voiceover. Kevin is talking to his parents and saying, I just got to say sorry. Apologies to you, Mom. I did something you told me to never do, which is joining a gang. However, Dad said I would never be able to join one anyway, so kind of screw you.
Yeah. And I think this episode, maybe the voiceover might have been a good idea, because I was trying to imagine this episode without some of the voiceover, and I think there could have been a little bit of confusion along the way.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
I really liked how once they came into 1929 in New York, they're in that warehouse. Some people come and they go to hide behind all these crates. And Penelope?
Okay, yes.
That's her name, right?
Lisa Kudrow's name,
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Penelope says, Kevin, go check on it. And in voiceover, he says, Penelope always makes me do this. She calls it risk evaluation. And doing that is such a like big sibling to little brother thing. Is like, oh man, you need to go check it out, your risk evaluation. Hey, go, hey, ask Mom how she's doing today. I think she's really angry, guys. No, just like ask, so like then we'll know like how to ask her how to like go to this party tonight. It's your risk evaluation, man.
Like you put your least valuable player in that position because like, they're expendable. It's a sacrifice almost.
I really liked when the guy said, hey, do you have any more of this mead? They go, And I was like, wait, how are they going to make more of this? And then it's just them going in and out of the portal. Very funny.
Yeah.
And then the guy like clings on to Lisa Kudrow saying, oh, there's not really a leader in this gang. It's kind of like diplomatic. We all kind of have a vote. And he's like, oh, a gang with no leader. I like that. And then just keeps getting like very serious with her. Like, I can't keep seeing men die. Okay. So I think I'm going to go your route.
And I like he respects her because she describes when she like swatted a mosquito off somebody's butt, but she makes it sound like she offed somebody that way. And so he's kind of confused why she keeps talking about hitting people's butts all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're relating with one another, learning from each other. Penelope, that is. Let's see. They spend a lot of money at this point, and they go to a party that they're invited to. That's right. The gang likes them so much, they invite them to a party.
And they are dressed dapper as hell.
They are. I couldn't help but notice that they bought a bunch of accessories to go along with their outfits as well. And Bidleg's accessory was a plunger. I'm not sure why he bought a plunger to go with his outfit. Did you catch that?
Well, it goes along with all the other type of stuff they steal. I think they're buying this stuff to be like, oh, this will be worth a lot of money in a different time period. And it's like, no.
Well, they try to go party. They're not the best partiers in the world, especially Widget.
Is this you at parties?
I did write down that this is kind of me at parties because somebody says to Widget to have a good time. And he says, I prefer not to, which is very similar to something that I said one time that I was teased about a lot because I was in a very bad mood and somebody was inviting me out somewhere and they were like something like, come on, it'll be fun. And I said, I'm opposed to fun. And I meant it.
Steven.
Yeah, but Widget has a reason. He's sad about Susan, so we'll give it to him. He's getting drunk thinking about his pal Susan.
No, he's not like that because he's sad about Susan. Getting drunk makes him sad about Susan.
Right. Yeah, Penelope and Bumpy become closer. Babyface Kevin wins some respect from this gang for sending his rival to Preston, first off. That whole story about the missed love and his rival goes to Preston. He figures it's because of his library copying skills is why the other gangs respect him so much. We'll give it to him.
Such a dummy.
I don't know. He's a lovable dummy. Biddleg and Judy, they're seeming to bond in this episode a little bit. There's an offhand remark like later on that Biddleg makes to Judy that makes you think there's some kind of bonding happening, but they dance, they try, they give it a shot. They're not terrible, but you know, this is the first time they've tried. Alto, he's enthralled by this jazz music. He loves it. It's called to him. He has a new friend now, Emmy. He goes and talks to the jazz singer, wants to know what the hell she was talking about. She's played here by Jen Van Epps, you know, a singer of her own right. Yeah. Any notes for the party yet there, James?
No, just that I think you and I could have done Prohibition and thrived in it.
Is it because neither one of us drank? Is that the reason why?
And we would be jerking these rubes left and right.
In what way?
Like a soda jerk, but with alcohol.
Okay, all right. I'm not following. Are we going to be bartenders? Are we going to?
Yeah, because we want to be drinking the stuff. We're like, oh, it's all profit. We're not taking a little off top because we don't want any.
Oh, it's kind of like being a drug dealer, but not actually doing the drugs, so you don't cut into your own profit, and you keep a clear head while everybody else is really tipsy and drunk, and then you can like take advantage, right?
Yeah,
isn't that what people do when they're drunk? They take advantage of other people.
I would say it's more like making music that you're not fond of, because it's like, well, it's not for me, it's for like millions of people, you know?
Okay. All right. I never considered it.
I never considered making music I don't like.
No. I've never considered the Prohibition and what my place in that would be.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, now that you mention it, I guess it would work out, but I would still kind of feel bad for Heather. She likes to have a beer and she wouldn't be able to unless it's illegal, which, yeah, Kevin does make a point here. Although it's the Prohibition, everybody's still drinking. It just costs a lot more money. I think he says that at some point. And everybody has money currently, so it's not an issue.
Bootlegging alcohol is so wild. Like, you had to like have machines to do it, opposed to, hey, do you want some shrooms? I made them in my closet.
Right. Yeah. And that the whole bootlegging industry itself has spawned NASCAR. Are you aware of that?
No.
Yeah, that's how the bootleggers would get around is they would soup up these cars that would go faster than the police cars could go. And so that's how they got around from town to town in the South. And eventually they would race those cars against each other illegally.
Mhm.
And then like after a while, it became like a legal, regular sport that they did. And now it's got a sponsor and now it's a real thing.
That's like in The Boy in Blue, the Nick Cage movie, where he is a booze runner in between the United States and Canada, but he rowed boats. So they would like get specific tiny slick boats that you would be able to row real quick and undetected. And like they were low, almost like flush with the water, I believe. So then you could quickly like duck down and it was like as if you were just part of the water.
Oh, that's neat. You probably get ripped too.
Oh,
you get
this is the most
abs.
ripped Nick Cage was for any movie, Steve.
How can you not be like rowing a boat from like what'd you say from America to Canada?
Well, it's like in the Michigan's areas.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. I forgot how close they are in some respects there, but still. Abs for steel. That's right.
Uh-huh.
We meet Madam Queenie. We meet her. She's on the phone. And first off, she's talking about getting voting rights, making sure those kids have books. But then, you know, she wants to make sure that some windows get smashed in, and she's talking about offing people later. So you get the gist that she's one of these New York individuals that is good to her people and good to the kids. But when it comes to like her competition, she has no boundaries.
Oh, except the boundaries that she owns, you know?
That's right. Those streets. So let's see. Where do we go from here? The 40 Thieves gang, that's what they're called here. They eventually catch up with the Time Bandits after this very low-speed chase through New York City. It took me a couple times to figure out why they took so many rights. Did you catch that on your first watch through or not? Like the reason Penelope kept saying turn right.
Well, it could be like, hey, I want to just go back to where we started.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
They're at their hideout. They get in the car with Emmy. Emmy's like, well, take me to your hideout. So Penelope just directs her 4 rights right back to their hideout, right back where they started from.
It could have also started out as like, okay, take a right. And she just doesn't know where to go. So she says, take a right. And then she's like, take another right.
She knew what she was doing. She was taking Emmy right back to their hideout, right where she said she was going to go. So while this is going on, the other half of their gang, which is Bitterleg and Judy and I guess Widget, they're commandeered by the real gang. And it took me a few times to like catch up with all this, but we're on board here. What's happening is half their gang is captured and kidnapped. The other half of the gang is showing up to save them. And there's a big mix up. We're finally face to face with the 2 women, the real Madam Queenie and Penelope, who's posing as Madam Queenie. And they're both really like upset that they were able to get mixed up with each other. It's like, well, because I'm a woman in a warehouse, you think I'm her, which was, I mean, it's great for comedy. I like this mix up here because clearly they're different races. So you could take that as like, it's pretty obvious they're different people, but
and
I love it.
The demeanors of both of them are wildly different.
Yeah, everything about them is different.
One is stern and serious. The other is a goofball who doesn't know what's going on.
I was wondering how they escaped death here, because if Queenie hadn't showed up, they probably would have died. But Queenie did show up. But our gang, the Time Bandits, who this is like they're declaring their name as the Time Bandits. They declare it loud and proud here. They're not in any sort of trouble at all. Like neither one of the gangs are upset with them. I guess because alcohol is like an ongoing business and they were paid money for the mead. So the people who bought the mead were happy with what they bought.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were ripped off in any means, but it does seem really convenient that they got away without even a beating, that they're scot-free. And Widget has found another portal. Where did he find the portal at? On the Jersey Shore. Yep. That's where they have to go to get their next portal to their next spot.
And if I were Madam Queenie and just a few shipments came in and people loved them and thought they were from me, yet like I would be ecstatic, especially if those people were like, oh, there was just a mix up. We actually we didn't want to do this. We were just giving this person stuff like that. We just thought that's what we had to do. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, so you're done with this. Okay, awesome. I will take the credibility that your product gave me and I will use that for my own benefit.
That's right. And then these two gangs meet up. Everybody's friends here at the end. Kevin is wistful about leaving, but he's, still talking to his folks here. Oh yeah, this is where they reveal that they have dumped a bunch of bodies there in the Jersey Shore, which reminds us that these guys are actually gangsters. We should watch out for Bumpy and the gang. Mm-hmm. So the Time Bandits now are off again from this point, going to try to get to Bingley 2024, hopefully. Yeah, that's going to pretty much wrap up our episode here. Is Widget remaining your consistent favorite Time Bandit, or are you going back and forth between any bandits at this point?
I think it's just Widget.
I'm liking Widget more and more too. I think this episode has like really pushed him over the top for me. The way he didn't like parties, of course. The way he was insecure about looking at himself in the portal. I could definitely relate with that. I don't know. Judy always has good lines and they always make me laugh. But I think Widget I think he's bumped up to my number one at this point. I'm a Widget man.
I do like Judy and Biddelig. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like those two a lot.
Yeah, it's not that I don't like Alto. It's just he's got such tough competition here to live up to. It's like Widget and Judy are just really high up on the ladder here. So sorry, Alto, you got a lot of climbing to do, buddy. Mm-hmm. So usually I ask you first where you want to go for each episode. Like this is our fourth time doing this. And every time you have said where you're going to go. And then I always say, yeah, that's what I was going to go too. That's been consistent. Okay. So 2 changes is, well, I guess really 1 change. I'm going to go first. So that negates the second change. I'm going to go first this time, James, so that way it doesn't seem like I'm always copying you. So the eras that we have to choose from is, of course, Bingley 2024, always. We got New York, 1929. We got Japan, circa 1200. England, circa 700, where the monks are in the mead. We also have the Supreme Being's Palace. We could choose that if we wanted to.
I don't think that's a time period, though.
It's not, but it's definitely a place that you could go.
Okay.
I mean, so I'm gonna say it. We could. I mean, we never discussed that we could go to the evil layer. I think because it seems kind of scary. The Supreme Being layer up there in the clouds might be a more pleasant place to hang out. But for me, I'm gonna stick with my New York theme. Like I said earlier, I'd prefer to go to New York, maybe circa 1818. But I will take New York 1929. That's where I'm going to be going this episode. I'm going to get off there, Ellis Island, I guess. I don't know how I'd arrive there. I'm just going to pretend I'm arriving via a time portal, but I'm going to be I'm a able-bodied person who knows about utilities and stuff. So I'm going to start there and try to work my way up in that field and try to get myself some property out there, probably in I'd like to say in the Times Square area, but I don't want to be there. I would rather be somewhere like Brooklyn, maybe Queens. But yeah, New York 1929. That's where I'm going this episode, James. How about you?
Same, baby. I'm going to Long Island.
We're always together. We're always going to be waving hi to each other while we're there. I don't know if we'll be doing the same thing necessarily. You'll have Nicole with you, right?
Oh, yeah, I'll have Nicole, but you'll be we'll make an irrigation system for all the booze that will be bootlegging, water That's stuff right. and plumbing. We can do this, baby.
Absolutely. We can get it. We can get multiple buildings all from one central location. We could start up an AM radio channel. We could start some early podcasting. Yeah. Get some late ideas in there early. I think we got this. New York 1929.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's our episode, James. Did you have any other notes or anything else we might have missed here?
Yeah, just one thing that we missed. It was Kevin goes, yeah, they've been so good at getting this mead that they've now turned to counterfeiting. They're real bad at it though, because they're all making their own dollar bills. One made a jazz note because he's really into jazz. And then Widget made a $1 zillion bill, which was very funny. And then Judy was making self-worth notes.
Yes, that's right. which, I mean, could be worth much more to the specific person. I mean, I like those. None of them looked good either. None of their bills looked passable. But they're giving it a shot. So yeah, next week, James, we're going to be joined by a friend of yours that I've never met before. We're going to be having Shelby Schwetterman on the episode to discuss episode 5 with us, which is called Georgian. We're going to be meeting the Earl of Sandwich, which will be a lot of fun. But yeah, until then, I guess we're going to wrap it up. Plugs. We got to get some plugs in here. Plugs for me, same as usual. Visit me at sweetshotofTime.com. Check me out on Instagram and check out Introvoid, please. How about yourself, James? What's Marshland Monster up to?
Hey, guys, will this come out in September?
Yes, it will.
On September 27th for all day on twitch.tv/mostly speaking Sentai. I'm doing a Patreon pledge drive for patreon.com/MLM pod, where for $5 a month, you get exclusive content. I'm going to be trying to stream and be in one sitting. Remember, guys, I'm getting over COVID.
Oh, no, COVID.
I'm doing an all-day stream. I'm going to try and beat in one sitting Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage. I will be doing some live podcasts. Steve came up with a good user-submitted watch-alongs of just like YouTube stuff that people think's cool or funny, try to make me laugh. I don't know. And then, yeah, so I'll be doing all of that. Follow me on social media, Marshland Monster, or on Twitter, MSS Pod. You know, you'll find I never plug my socials. So yeah, ask us for a Discord link. We'll send you a Discord invite. I don't know if that's in our description or not.
It can be. Sometimes I add that into the show notes.
All right, heck yeah, I'll send you.
Oftentimes I just put MLMpod.com and sweetshotofTime.com.
Okay. We'll do a Discord link so people can hop in there, talk to us about Wheel of Time, whatever. Yeah, so patreon.com/MLMpod. As I said, we're $5 a month. You get exclusive content every single Friday. It's a great time over there. Please check it out. Like, not only would it helps us immensely, even just one new person, but it's more than 4 years of content, over 200 hours of stuff to check out there, even at the $5 tier. Even the dollar tier has maybe like, I don't know, to 20 to 40 hours of stuff. Because I got talking about Beyblade and Death to Squids on there for just $1. You get all of that. And Steve was on one of those episodes.
I've been on a lot of MLM episodes in Marshland Media. And that's how you can support Sweet Shot of Time, is by supporting James, because James supports me. So any support for him also helps me out too. So I would ask all the Sweet Shot of Time listeners to do the exact same thing. Be like me, be a Patreon.
Yeah, and listen to my music under Marshland Monster. And that's it.
Yep, that's it. Thank you very much for listening to us once again. And until next week, I hope everybody finds water and shade and shoes. Bye.
Bye-bye. And these time portals.
These time portals.
You got to find them.